Hi, my name is Richard Day, and I'll be your instructor for this section of this online section of EDF 203. Along with EDF 103, 203 is part of our beginning courses in the Professional Educator program. Both of these courses are designed to give you a very broad perspective on the field. There's a lot of material that we'll cover in 203, so you'll kind of be well versed on what teachers today deal with on a regular basis. Our goals in these introductory courses are twofold. First of all, one of the most important goals for the course is to help you determine for yourself whether or not you're a good fit for teaching. So that'll be part of the examination. The other thing is to help you try to shift your focus. Now, you've been a student all your life, perhaps, or at least since about the age of 5. And in that time, when you have gone through educational experiences, very appropriately, you've taken a look at school from the point of view of a student. In this course, we're going to ask you to shift your view and begin examining schools critically as though you were a teacher, as though you were sitting on a faculty in a school. So when you hear about an issue, something comes up, we want you to reflect on that and think for yourself, how would I feel about this issue in my school? How would I speak on the faculty about how we manage a particular kind of an issue? So that's part of our goal here with EDF 203. Now, our course is broken into 7 modules for the spring of 2015. There is an introductory module, which arguably is an 8th module, that is just one to try to help you get set up in the course and ready to go. In Module 1, we will be taking a look at the teaching profession and asking you to reflect on what it means to be a teacher and what does it mean to be a professional. We're going to ask you to examine your own professional work skills to determine whether or not you really have the kind of personal skills to allow you to be effective as a teacher. And as I tell my students in 203, if you can't manage your college work as a sophomore at the EKU, chances are pretty good that you're not going to be able to manage a class full of kids with all the different schedules and deadlines and parent meetings and faculty meetings and reports that are due and the very busy life of today's teacher. So it's critically important that you take this time to begin examining your own professional skills, and if you find them lacking, now is the time to begin to improve them. We will also take a look at the major philosophies and educational theories that impact schooling today. This is not the kind of thing where you're going to have to be well-versed in philosophical thought, but you do have to have a passing familiarity with it. You do have to understand something about the philosophies and theories that impact what teachers do today. And that's what we will examine in our 2nd module. While we are going through this and covering content for the course, we're also very interested in 203 in helping you be ready to be accepted into the Professional Educator program. And we begin some of that work in this 2nd module. One of the things that we will have you do is to begin taking Praxis Core practice exams. Actually, the first one begins in our 1st module. But these are exams that you have to be able to pass in order to be accepted into our program. So it's critically important that by about the end of 203, before you move into EDF 219, that you have passed the Praxis and been admitted to the program. There are 3 tests that you will end up taking. Praxis Core in reading, in math, and in writing. And to help you get ready for that, in this course you will be doing 3 practice exams through our library. And so that will allow you to become familiar with the test, how you're going to be asked questions, how to approach the test, and there's also a wealth of practice material for you should you desire that. We will also ask you to write your own philosophy of teaching and take a look at a professional growth plan. And you'll write your own professional growth plan in 203 as well. Both of these items are important for teachers. Philosophy of teaching is a common item asked for when a teacher applies for a job. So somebody will be reviewing your philosophy, trying to get an assessment of how it is you think about teaching and what kinds of things you believe about how kids learn, and then base a hiring decision in part on that. In addition, a professional growth plan will be part of your responsibilities as a first-year teacher in the state of Kentucky. So it's very important that you understand how that professional growth plan works, and we will give you sort of a snapshot of that in EDF 203. After spring break, we come back and we start Module 4, and there we will focus on curriculum and instruction. And during that module, we'll ask you to write a simple lesson plan. Again, another one of the activities that our first-year teachers in the state of Kentucky have to do during their internship. In fact, they will do many of them. You're also going to do many lesson plans when you are in your 300 level courses and in your methods courses as sophomores, juniors, seniors. So you have a number of lesson plans that you'll write. What we're going to do is start you off with kind of an easy one, and then we'll build on that as you go through your later courses and clinicals in the professional educator program. We're also going to spend a little bit of time thinking about Common Core. Common Core state standards are a hot issue in America right now. There is a political divide in our country, and it's an unusual one. Moderate Democrats and Republicans in the middle support Common Core, and it's the idea where a bunch of states threw in together and decided that it would be best if we had a nationally comparable curriculum for our students, so that if you pass Algebra 1 in New Mexico, it means pretty much the same thing as if you had passed Algebra 1 in Delaware. The expectations are pretty uniform. There are folks on either end of the political spectrum that have a problem with Common Core. Folks on the right tend to think that Common Core is a federal effort rather than a national effort, led by states, which it in fact is. But since the Obama administration attached Common Core to its grant program called Race to the Top, a lot of folks on the right believe that this is federal intrusion into education. And the business of education belongs to the states, not the federal government, at least in theory. We actually do find the federal government very involved in what happens in education nationally these days. Folks on the left who object to Common Core really object to it as part of what they see as a larger effort on behalf of the federal government to employ what they think of as questionable methods in terms of dealing with accountability for students by using student test scores to evaluate whether a teacher is effective in doing their job. This in an environment where we know very well that not all classes are equal. Some teacher might have a difficult class, another one might have an easy class. So we find Common Core supported in the middle by the moderates and opposed to by the more extreme, if you will, or at least folks on the political spectrum out toward the edges on both the right and the left. It's an interesting political situation these days. In Module 5, and even leaking over into Module 6, we will begin taking a look at the history of education. We'll start with Socrates and work our way forward and try to deal with the question of how is it that schools came to be the way they are today. And in order to do this, I'll be bringing you information both from your text and from a series of lectures and articles which sort of describe for you how it is that education has evolved over the years, so you can kind of see why it is we do what we do these days in school. There is also an excellent video series that goes along with this titled Schools, done by the public broadcasting system. And if you're familiar with any of Ken Burns's videos on baseball, he's a host of subjects that he's done. These videos are going to be in that kind of a style, where we have gathered the best educational historians in the country, and they talk through what was happening in our history, and they'll show you pictures and archival kinds of documents that went along with that history. We will finish up our historical study in Module 6, and we'll begin taking a look at social and cultural issues at that time. We will take a look at the civil rights movement in Kentucky. We will take a look at progressivism, even the confusing way that progressivism manifested itself in the South, and start to think about different kinds of social and cultural aspects by the time we get into Module 7. There we have 2 key assessments that you will complete. Both of them are 500-word reflections. One of them is on creativity. The second one is on collaboration. And both of them are required before the Educational Professional Standards Board in Frankfurt will allow you to be admitted into our professional educator program at Eastern. And we'll talk through this as the course evolves. We will also take a little bit of a look at rural education, special education, and we'll ask students to examine their own cultures, to try to get some perspective to the various cultures that your students will bring into your class. Finally, in Module 8, we will wrap up by taking a look at the legal, political, and financial aspects of schooling. We will take a look at constitutional amendments that impact state education, teacher tenure. The professional educator program is something we will be pointing you toward applying for by the end of the course. And we'll also take a look at the landmark education decision in Kentucky, which caused the Kentucky Supreme Court to declare the entire system of schools to be unconstitutional in 1989, and caused our legislature to rewrite all of the education laws, which have led us to where we are today. So that's kind of a brief snapshot of the course. I hope you enjoy it. Despite the fact that this is an online course, I'm a real live professor working out of the Richmond campus. My office is in the Combs building, room 100. You can see more than you want to know about me by clicking on the Meet the Instructor link. And if I can be of any help at all, make sure you let me know, and we will talk through our discussion boards and things in the course. I hope you enjoy it. In the end, I hope that you're able to assess for yourself whether or not teaching is the field for you.